Welcome back, guys. Today I want to talk about what has helped me personally to overcome tilt in chess, which is a thing which I think every one of us is struggling with. Of course, also still myself included. But over the years, I've found a few things that might be helpful or worth talking about to perhaps implement in your own game. All of this started actually that someone from my community reached out to me and told me that this is something they themselves are struggling with and many of their friends are struggling with, specifically with online chess. In this video, I want to talk about it in general, like how to live with disappointments in chess specifically. But I guess it can also be applied to online chess in a way for sure, since it is quite a rising industry, and there are many chess players that are purely playing online and have never played a single over-the-board chess game, and might be happy to hear some possible advice from a grandmaster what could happen. If some of you are new to the channel, I'm a grandmaster. I've been playing chess for 13 years, and obviously over the years there were so many disappointments, and I think I only figured out, like, in the last couple of years how to live with disappointments, and basically how to stop tilting. Because at the end, what can happen, like, also I talked about it with many of my students, like, they're so close to reaching, for example, 2000 rating on chess.com, which would be a huge milestone for them, and then they're like on 1995, 1999, and then they start losing one game, and then it goes completely downhill from there on. Also with the classical rating, I think it's also in a sense more important for players. Like, I remember for myself when I was playing a tournament last year, the European Individual Championship, and at some point I was like in the end I was like minus 23 rating. And obviously it's painful because you're working hard to achieve your rating, and then you're just losing it, and it feels like the world is breaking apart right under your feet, and it feels bad. But the one thing which I try to implement, of course it doesn't work all the time, but I found it quite helpful, is a thing called a growth mindset. I first kind of heard about this on Andrew Huberman's channel. If some of you are not familiar with him, he's a neuroscientist who has a podcast himself and is fairly active on YouTube. I'm gonna put a link to this video in the description down below. As far as I remember, all of the things he and his guest on that podcast were saying is simply to accept those losses, but to have the bigger picture in mind, that it's kind of part of the journey to have these disappointments. But if you have the bigger goal and the bigger picture in mind, then those setbacks are not going to be such a huge blow to yourself, because if you're thinking more long term, then it does not really matter so much how you're now performing on a short term scale, because at the end of the day you want to pursue this thing hopefully for a longer time frame. And I've been doing this now for I started thinking about this already for 1 or 2 years, but more recently it really helped me quite a lot. Like, now last week, for example, I played a league game in Vienna, and I drew against a 2300 player. And after that, like, honestly, of course it's a bit of a disappointment, but I could definitely think like I was winning in that game. And I'm sure that's like just 2 or 3 years ago or so, I would have reacted completely differently. But now another thing that has also become clear to me, that chess, obviously it's not a game of luck, like I don't know, playing slots or something like that. But there is always, like, you always have a good streak, and then you always have a bad streak. And I think this is another thing which you need to accept, that simply sometimes it's gonna go better and sometimes it's gonna go worse. Same also applies to life in general, of course, but I think it's important to remind yourself of that in chess as well, that sometimes you're just gonna hit a rough patch, but at the same time better times are gonna come. And this is what became specifically clear for me now. Last year, if some of you guys have followed my progress, I had a pretty difficult year, and did not make a lot of progress generally when it comes to my rating in the last few years. But now at least I hope that I'm slowly breaking out. I've recently reached my peak rating, and as I said, I think having this long-term picture in mind, and accepting the fact that you're simply going to have a couple of rough patches is the key thing that has helped me considerably. So let me know if this has been if this has been useful whatsoever. I really hope so, because it's a thing which I struggled with for quite some time, and I didn't really know how to combat it. But as I said, I think setting like long-term goals, and then just accepting the fact that sometimes it's gonna not work out as you want. Hopefully you can make use of that. I hope the video title didn't promise you more than you actually got in the end, but at the end of the day, everyone is going to come up with an individual solution as well. I just wanted to give you guys my thoughts on that, and hopefully it was useful. If you guys have any strategies yourself, how you combat tilt in chess and kind of bad losing streaks, what you do against that, let me know in the comment section down below. Another thing which I want to add at the very end is simply finding a distraction is usually quite important as well. For me, that's usually trying to get some physical exercise, or doing something like reading a book or something like that, but just try to get your mind off of things and then come back to the next game with hopefully a more of a fresh mind. But I'm really curious what you guys do if you're in that situation. Let me know in the comment section down below. If you want to see more from me, check out my website, felixblauberger.com. It's in the video description, linked, Instagram as well, and other socials too. Apart from that, that was it for today. Again, I hope that was useful, and I'm going to see you guys next time.